As a drone education company, we know there are a lot of gray areas when it comes to flying a drone. I've experienced this confusion as a drone pilot myself, and I see all of your experiences when I read your comments. Although it's hard to go over each and every scenario or question some of you bring up, we think we have found a nice overarching explanation that can help out in those ultra-specific situations that aren't found in regular videos, blog posts, or forums. So let's find out about this catch-all rule and how it can possibly answer some difficult questions when it comes to flying our beloved drones. This is Adam with UAV Coach, and flying drones comes with incredible freedom and responsibility. But when it comes to FAA guidelines, things can get a little murky. We've seen questions like, can I fly my drone closely behind a car? Or if I cross a road while flying, am I in violation if a car drives by? Here's the reality. As with any law, it's up to you and how much risk you're willing to take on. Part 107 regulations are here to ensure safety, and they're generally straightforward. But there happens to be a catch-all rule. It is Part 107.23, which prohibits operating your drone in a careless or reckless manner. Now, this video idea came together when we reached out to the FAA about some specific questions and comments we were receiving. They responded by describing Part 107.23 as their "don't do dumb stuff" rule. So the big question becomes, would your actions be seen as careless or reckless by an enforcement agency? And are you willing to take that chance? For example, flying over an empty park might seem fine, but what if a crowd suddenly gathers? Flying near a quiet school on the weekend could feel safe, but what happens if a person unexpectedly walks onto the field? The bottom line is this: don't fly in a way that could harm people or damage property. That's the spirit of the rule. But let's be honest, even with this clarification, it's still on you to determine what's considered dumb stuff. The FAA expects pilots to decide if their actions are careless or reckless, but this can be unclear. You might think you're playing it safe, but an enforcement officer might disagree. And that's the tricky part. It's subjective. The rules can be vague in those gray areas, making it hard to know for sure until it's too late. The Part 107 rules are here to keep everyone safe, but they also leave room for interpretation. That's where your judgment as a pilot comes in. Ultimately, it comes down to using common sense. Always ask yourself, could this flight harm someone or something? If something went wrong, what's the worst that could happen? And would an enforcement officer see this as reckless or careless? And as you'll notice, these questions are like the ones we ask ourselves when deciding whether to break everyday rules, like jaywalking or speeding. You are taught the rules, but the reality is that it's up to you to decide how much risk you're willing to take on. Flying drones is more or less the same idea. In those ultra-specific gray areas, it comes down to using common sense, making the safest decision possible, and deciding how much risk you want to take. The FAA gives us the freedom to make judgment calls, so use that freedom wisely. We'd love to know your thoughts on this topic and how you usually approach these specific situations. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future drone videos. Until next time, blue skies and safe flying.